All right, let's do this Alaska clip that someone sent to us yesterday.
I think I know which one you're talking about too, without even knowing. Yeah.
This is pretty nuts. This is Alaska State Representative David Eastman. There was a hearing a few days ago in the Alaska Judiciary Committee. They were speaking about, the hearing was about abuse of children, right? And how that can affect children and their lives and other people and their psychology. And there was a presentation that was being given. Documents were handed out to the legislators in this hearing, where there was like essentially an actuarial estimation about child abuse and what society will take on. And just listen to the question asked by the state rep, David Eastman.
In the case where child abuse is fatal, obviously it's not good for the child, but it's actually a benefit to society because there aren't needed for government services and whatnot over the whole course of that child's life.
Through the chair, can you say that again? Did you say a benefit for society?
Talking dollars. Now you've got a $1.5 million price tag here for victims of fatal child abuse. It gets argued periodically that it's actually a cost savings because that child is not going to need any of those government services that they might otherwise, be entitled to receive and need based on, growing up in this type of environment.
Through the chair, Representative, I guess that would be the idea, if I can use a really bad analogy, when you hit somebody, always back up because it's cheaper to insurance. I don't pertain to that, and I'm really... I'm not even sure how to answer that there's a cost saving to the death of a child. The impact that has on a family and us as a society when a child is lost, especially to child abuse and neglect, is unmeasurable. And it's hugely tragic.
And follow
up.
And the way that you're calculating this 1.5 million, and when I say you, I mean the people who did calculate it, does that 1.5 million get higher or lower depending upon the age at which the child is killed?
So again, there's multiple factors, and a number can definitely increase, but again, I don't believe it's going to matter if they're older or younger. Again, a loss of a child is really unmeasurable.
The questions coming from this guy really does make it seem like he's considering rolling out a business or campaign to mow down children on this program or something. This is unbelievable.
Yes, and I just have to point this out here. On his Wikipedia page, Eastman is against abortion in all forms. He tried to add a right to life amendment to a non-controversial resolution in 2017 that designated April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month and filed a complaint when the committee wouldn't consider his amendment. So when anybody talks about how abortion is about saving children from murder, listen to Representative from Alaska, David Eastman, who is advocating, or not advocating, I should say, but saying and arguing that it might be a cost saving for the state for children to die in abuse as opposed to for the state to take them on and handle the care that child would need, and then reiterates that in the midst of questioning over and over again. Abortion is about the control of women and their bodies, not about children. And that was illustrated perfectly there by Eastman.
That's really, really fucked up to say out loud, obviously. And also it just feels like it's not like correct either, because there are a lot of other costs, like, not to check his math, not to check his child murder math, not to be that one, but like the other guy tried to mention about like the cost to the family, etc. But just generally speaking, assuming this kid is the victim of child abuse and is killed, certainly there's going to be an investigation into that child abuse, which will cost money. There's going to be, in this country, someone's going to go to jail, theoretically, if the criminal justice system does what it's supposed to do. And the cost for jailing somebody for life for killing a kid, maybe two people, if it's like a parents, is that not going to also be put on the state in some way? And like jailing prisoners for life is like very expensive. It just seems like he's only concerned about certain expenses You know, it's like the state incurring certain expenses, like the expense of raising a child to be a functional member of society, which one would argue is largely the purpose of a state in, you know, in many ways, because it helps reciprocate itself. But in this case, the other costs to society are not ones that deserve to be balanced out. Because like there are ways to do this math that I would imagine still probably like is in favor of the child being alive. Not just like, yeah, but you know, at least you'll save a few dollars. Like, I don't know. That doesn't sound right.
I mean, even the fact that, like, when I don't even want to go down that road, but the point is just that this is like austerity thinking warping someone's mind to such a degree that you're essentially a sociopath.
Yeah, I would also say like this is pretty standard genre for American governance. Like, this is indifferent in degree, but I don't think type from Joe Manchin saying kids are too entitled and should be hungrier. Like, this guy's just like, you know, he's a Republican about it.
Right.
Yeah, and we've always known Republicans, not just the abortion thing, only care about certain types of kids. You know, what type of kid that is tends to, you know, range. Obviously, certain groups get excluded more often than not, but depending on what Republican you're talking to. But like they're imagining a victim of child abuse who's killed that, you know, is probably a certain color, probably a certain socioeconomic status, someone who doesn't deserve help from the state in that way, when, you know, we know that's just not the entire picture of child abuse. And even if it were, it still wouldn't justify just like, you know, a total lack of resources in order to save money. Like it's just eugenics, you know, in the back way. Like he's arguing that like, well, we'll let a few kids, you know, make it through the brutality of poverty if they're able to pull themselves up from their bootstraps enough, but, you know, certainly not get the resources they need from us.
Yeah, and Fart Twain, sorry to say that very amusing IM handle in such a depressing story, but wrote in and said, Representative Eastman is a piece of shit. He's been censured multiple times. The last time I remember was him saying rural Alaskan indigenous women get pregnant for a free trip to Anchorage or Seattle for an abortion. So in terms of the kinds of people that you mentioned there, Brandon, seems like that's on the tip of his brain.
It's just amazing to just see. I mean, this is obviously the thinking. I mean, we've already said it, but I just still his words are rattling in my brain. It's just unbelievable how sick and twisted you need to be to look at the life of a child in that way. But
these are the people who claim that they're on the party of protecting kids. Like these are the ones who want to protect your kids from the groomers and the, you know, and the pedos and the LGBTQ story hours, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Not from the working the night shift at the slaughterhouse, though.
No. Oh, no. Like that builds character. Haven't you read The Jungle?
Yeah. Well, I guess
I thought I took a different lesson from that.
He's consistent on maybe the parental rights angle because I guess advocate for parental rights to murder their own children, perhaps. So anyway, that's America, baby. Let's read some IMs really quickly. Serious Business says, to Brandon's point, the abused child dying is a twofer for Republicans. They don't have to pay for social services, and their private prison buddies get paid. No downside for them. Gerald from New Orleans, I don't think Republican depravity could surprise me anymore. And then I hear that Ghoul attempt to determine the optimal age for an abused child to die for maximum cost savings.
Right.
Yep.
I think we sort of, because it was so shocking there and thrown at the end, and we wanted to, you know, address the broader issue. But it is amazing that he not even just doubled down. He like got even more intricate, even as the people around him, his own colleagues, were clearly showing like disgust at the line of questioning. And he's asking further questions about what's the optimal age for a child to die for the cost saving measures to have the greatest effect.
It's the kind of thought experiment that, you know, plays real well on certain corners of the internet, but once you say it out loud in front of people, it goes like, oh no, you did yourself a mischief there.
I think it was Brian Mayer at Brazil Wire during the start of COVID that there were like people in Bolsonaro's administration who were like, we're gonna save a lot of money on elderly pensions and stuff and Social Security if we let this thing burn a little bit.
Mark Monkey, if your own house is on fire, you don't go to Canada because someone else's house is on fire too. Priorities, people. This thought is exactly why everyone just moved on from the Flint story. When was the last time any of these people have checked up on this? The same will happen to East Palestine. We simply don't fix a damn thing in this country.
The Obama Flint sip of water, that is, and there's a whole bunch of people who want to act like, oh no, it's actually safe, you can drink the water, that are like Democratic partisans. But that is aged so poorly when you look at, say, the Jackson crisis. And everybody knew this at the exact same time, that what was happening in Flint is not like some special Flint problem. It's because we only actually did serious infrastructure like 80 years ago, and all this stuff is crumbling now.
Yeah.
And we basically need another New Deal.